Hello friends, welcome back, and today we are going to see tuples in Rust. So what is a tuple? A tuple is basically a collection of different elements. By different elements, we can have different primitive inside the tuple. So inside the tuples, I can have an integer element, both signed and unsigned. Then it can be a combinations of other primitive also like booleans, character and all. So right away, we are going to create an example to understand more about tuple. So first of all, I'm using, as usual, we are using the Visual Code. So I've already opened the terminal and the Visual Code. So here I'll start the program of Rust by calling the function main, which will be the entry point of the program function main. And then we are going to define the tuple. So as we have done with the other primitive, we use the let statement, and then we can give any tuple name. So for this, I'll just call this tuple as a tuple example, okay, for the sake of demonstration. And then we will keep all the elements inside the parenthesis. Okay, so now you may have, let's say the first element is an unsigned integer of 8-bit, then you can have other elements of different data type. So the second element is an unsigned integer of 32 bits. The third element can be a character, and you can also have a Boolean element also inside the tuple. Now that we have seen this tuple, okay, we may want to print it. So print ln, then print ln. Let's say I want to print the first element. So how do I do that? I write first element, and can give the specifier here, and I have to give now the tuple name, which in our case is tuple example. So tuple example, and then we have to use the dot operator, dot, and then we have to give the index position. So our first element is at index 0, so I give tuple example dot 0. So let us just check this if it is going to as planned. So Rust C is the compiler to compile, and then the program name is tuple.rs. And then we will run the executable tuple. So I have the first element as 1. Accordingly, we can change this index position, all right, to print the different element. Let's say I want to print A. So here I have to change 0 to 2, all right, and this become our third element. All right, you can check that. Yes, the third element is A. It's getting printed. Now, interestingly, we can also print all the elements in a tuple. I can just show you that how to do that. Print ln, and then all elements, and I can give equal to. And here inside this specifier, okay, to print all the elements, what we have to do, we have to give a colon and a question mark. And then we will just mention here the tuple name itself, okay, without any index position, since we are printing all the elements. So let us check this. Yes, so all the elements in the tuple are being printed. Next, we are going to see how we can destructure tuples to create binding. By this, I mean, let's say the above tuples that we have given, the tuple example, which has 4 members in it, we are going to destructure it. So I'll have now 4 variables. Let's say I call them as A, B, C, D, and I assign this to the above tuple. All right. So this means that these corresponding variable now, okay, the corresponding variable now will be assigned to the tuples element. So how can we verify that? We can verify that by printing it, print ln, and then I will check all the 4 variables A, B, C, and D. Just give a space between them, and more importantly, I'll just name the variable so that we clearly distinguish. I give here A, B, C, D. So here it's like we have this structure and we bind these variables to the tuple element. So this is known as the structure tuple binding. So let us check in our so here are the variables that have been assigned. A is assigned to 1, that is the first member. B is equal to 2, C equal to A, and D equal to false. We are going to look how we can use array in Rust. So first of all, we have to define an array. To do that, we use the same let statement, and then we give the array name, call it, and followed by the definitions of the types of the array. So we have to keep in mind that the array have only can support only one primitive type, that is all its member should be of one primitive type, unlike tuples who can have members which are of different primitive type. So for this example, let us say that all the members in the arrays are of signed integers of 32-bit, and then I'll have an array. Next, I'll defining the size of an array where we will hold 5 elements. So next, I will define the array. So here we use a square bracket to enclose the array members. So I'll define 5 elements. Simply, I'll keep it as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And next, let's say we want to print the first element. Of 0. Now in array, what we have to do is, instead of the dot operator as used in tuple, here we use the index of operator, that is the square bracket, and we can give the index position. So 0, it should print 1. Let us check. So ARR of 0 equal to 1. Okay. Now, another important aspect of array is that we can define all the elements of the array to have the same value as shown in the website. So all the elements can be initialized to the same value. So how do we do that? Here we have an array name, and here the type is also signed integer of 32 bits and 500 elements, and all these 500 elements will be assigned to 0. So let us try this in our example. So let's say, for simplicity, I'll create another array. Okay, I'll call this as array B, and I'll have this assigned integer itself of 32-bit, 5 elements, and I will assign all the element as 0, all the 5 elements as 0, and let us print, okay, print all the elements in the array, and here print all the elements of the array. So I'll just check for a single element. So yeah, so here all the elements, all the 5 elements in ARR of B is assigned to 0. So this is how we can assign also multiple array assignment, okay, to 0. So this can be handy in the case, okay, where we don't know initially, okay, what will be the array elements, but we know the size of the array, and we can use something like this. So that's all for today. We have seen tuples, array, and we will see you next. We will see you back in the next video. Thank you.